Welcome to Capes, Cowls Masks, the show where we uncover the world of soups and science fiction. I'm your host, Jake Hart. I'm a podcaster, a sound designer, and a writer for the Fresh Take Hub. And as always, I'm joined by my fellow co-host.
Hi there, everyone. It's Tom Gapper, your resident comic book shogun, and everyone's favorite Jerd. It's a ginger nerd.
Ginger, is that a new thing?
I think I'm going to try and coin that phrase. Might not be successful, but I think the more phrases I try and coin, eventually one of them will stick. Then I can sell the t-shirts.
I think that works because there is blurred is a thing.
Yeah.
So a person who is of black skin color who also considered as a nerd.
I learned that from Scrubs.
Yeah. So Jerd, is it Jerd? You said?
I think I said Jerd, but I think we can work on it. We can work on it. Yeah, I think it needs a bit of work. It's like, is it GIF or GIF? It's GIF, but you know.
I've always said GIF.
Yeah. Good talk.
Good talk. Why don't we actually ask our guest what he thinks?
Yes.
Is it GIF or is it GIF? Please welcome back to the show, filmmaker and writer Rob Ayling.
Hello, lads. It is actually GIF, I believe. It is not GIF. Anyone that says GIF is a moron, in my opinion.
Award-winning film director Rob Ayling there, laying down the law.
That'll be on my tombstone. Anyone who says GIF is a moron. And somehow the Emperor returned. I want that on my tombstone as well.
Make it so.
So this is going to be our weekly news show, breaking down and discussing the biggest stories that have hit the stands and the webs. We've got some big stuff, big news from DC announcing what's coming to DC FanDome, some Matrix 4 news, some Werewolf by Night, a lot of stuff going down. But before we do that, as always, Rob, how are you? What have you been doing? What have you been getting up to?
I'm good, man. I've just been keeping creatively busy. That's just the best way of summing up, really. I'm still working on the first feature, as you know, and I've actually just started writing my second feature film as well, getting the slate in order now as well. I put a tweet out recently saying that I've embraced my inner Frank Miller and Paul Dini and a hint of Alan Moore as well, and I think that's pretty accurate to what I'm doing right now at the moment.
Are you angry, Rob?
Do you know what? I'm a little angry, let's put it that way. Yeah, I'm a little angry, but I've also got something to say. So, that's the key thing here is I've got something to say, and it will be in the return to genre of superhero vigilante genre for me. So I'm excited. I'm really, really excited. And so far, it's been interesting to research, but it's also been important to write as well. So, I can't wait to share with you guys more details about that in the upcoming future of it all. So yeah,
that's really exciting, and it's funny when you said planning out your slate. All I can imagine is you like Kevin Feige on stage, the Rob Ayling cinematic universe. This is the slate for the next 10 years.
Oh, I wish it was 10 years of a slate.
Tom, how about yourself? What have you been up to, man?
Just been keeping busy, been playing a lot of Dragon Age recently, just been getting back into that because, massive gamer here. Obviously been continuing reading, just been rereading all of Hickman's X-Men from the start, just because I know he's leaving X-Men soon, so I feel like I need to read it all again, just soak it up while it lasts. He's apparently staying on at Marvel to do another book, but I'm kind of sad that he's leaving X-Men. Other than that, I've been also trying to keep creatively busy as well, as both of you will know. Hopefully maybe more details on that soon.
Right. If we could, I would put the two eyes emoji right now. Be like, ooh, what you got going on? Ooh.
I'd put the Robert Redford gif of him doing the old nod of approval. That would be my GIF of choice right now.
Oh, I got. He said GIF, kill him.
That's true. You said it. Take a shot.
I did say it.
You almost snuck that past me.
Nothing gets past you, my friend. Nothing gets past you.
Yet.
Oh, you wait till the end of the show. Much like you, Tom, I've been doing a lot of reading. Still reading the Dune saga onto the fourth novel now, which is getting pretty intense and philosophical. I'm just like, what the hell am I reading right now? But this is amazing. As for movies, my martial arts sort of month challenge continues. Well, it ends now. We're now at the end of August. I have God, I think I've watched like 20 or so martial arts movies in the last month.
Ooh.
You know, just really paying attention to them, though. And because, you know, prepping myself for Song Chi. In a way, that's kind of unfair to Song Chi because I'm just going, well, why don't you do it like them? But no, I mean, we spoke about what we've already seen last week, and it does look fantastic. So, yeah, very much looking forward to Song Chi, and that is not long now, boys. I'm very excited.
I've got my ticket booked. Me and Dave are going to see it on Friday. Going on on a bro date. It's going to be...
Oh, I love it. A bro date.
It's going to be great. It's going to be great. Yeah, and we'll be reviewing it here, so can't wait to do that. So, yeah, let's go into the news then.
Tear up page 1, run that photo instead. Headline: Spider-Man, hero or menace? Exclusive Daily Bugle photo.
Okay, so our first story of the week, it's a rather interesting one. One I certainly didn't see coming. I don't know about you guys, but Marvel are reportedly developing a new Disney Plus Halloween special around Werewolf by Night. So Marvel Studios will be reportedly bringing Werewolf by Night into the MCU through a Disney Plus Halloween special, reveals the wrap. And while Marvel didn't reveal which version of the character it's adapting, the studio is looking to cast a Latino male in his 30s and intends to start production in early 2022. First Werewolf by Night, Jack Russell, was introduced in 1972's Marvel Spotlight issue 2 and was created by Jerry Conway and Mike Ploog. I think it's Ploog. Ploog. We'll say Ploog because it's funnier. Russell comes from a long lineage cursed with lycanthropy. Still, he remains fully aware of most of his transformations and controls his powerful werewolf body to fight evildoers. The second Werewolf by Night, and this is for me where it gets crazy, Jake Gomez was introduced last year by Werewolf by Night, Volume 3, Issue 1. This character incarnation was created by Taboo of the Black Eyed Peas, Benjamin Jackendoff, and Scott Eaton. While the original werewolf is white, the new hero is a young man of Hopi,
I think.
Hopi descent.
So Native American,
yeah. So very, very interesting. Not the project I thought Marvel would go to, but I'll take it nonetheless. You know, it's more MCU stuff. Maybe they're opening up that whole horror side of the universe with like Blade coming and always rumors of Ghost Rider. So I'll go to you, Rob. What do you think of this news? Are you excited? Which version of the character do you think they'll be adapting, or is it even a completely new character? What are your thoughts?
I'll be completely honest with you. I have very limited experience with this character, so in terms of the choice of which character they go for, or which version they go for, I'm, just excited to see the character on screen. I'm aware of the character and the look, and I'm just excited about the aspect. I mean, we spoke very briefly about this just before going on, but I'm excited about the horror aspect coming to Marvel now, because they have been very fixated on fantasy for a long time, naturally, of course, because Marvel is very fantasy based. Of course, they've delved into the kind of spy thriller genre with the Captain America series. So the fact that you mentioned Blade as well, they're going to be delving into vampires soon enough and the horror genre. I'm just excited to see where they go with this character. What I'd actually ideally like to see, I know this might be a bit of a weird thing to say, but actually I would love to see more practical special effects in the Marvel movies more and the TV shows as well. Like I watched recently the making of the finale of The Mandalorian, and they talked heavily about CGI being the big thing that made it all happen and everything. And part of me was like, this is amazing. Art pushes technology and technology pushes the art. I love that. Yeah, great. But can we have a little bit more practical effect? Like the American, I think it's American Werewolf in London, where you've got that amazing transformation. Bring us that again. That's what I really want to see. So when we see transformation sequences like that, we're really getting to that transformation sequences. And they did it again with, years later with, like one of my favorite sequences in this is an MCU movie, but it's a Marvel movie, is Spider-Man 2 with the Dr. Octopus, and it's all puppetry. I freaking love that sequence. It's scary as hell as well. And, you've also got it's just beautifully directed as well. And I would love to see more of that come to the MCU. So that is the thing I'm excited about, is actually bringing that horror genre to the MCU.
Yeah, definitely. I definitely would like to see more practical effects. I mean, the vibe I kind of want from this show is like, I mean, we've all seen the Thriller music video, right? That, I just want that. That as a TV show, I'd be happy with that. But yeah, I think it's very interesting. And, well, Jake, what do you think? You a huge fan of the character? I bet you own like several T-shirts of him.
Yes. Oh yeah, my favorite Marvel character. No, I'm familiar with the character, and I believe I've read some stuff, but not much at all. So I'm very interested with how they're going to take this. Now, as we spoke about before coming on, I'm a huge horror guy, and I've always been excited about bringing horror aspects to superheroes, not just Marvel, but in general, DC and stuff like that, because it intrigues me to see, and I've always been a big fan of the horror side of superheroes, especially in DC. But this is Marvel, and I think this is actually extremely clever from Marvel Studios to basically dip their toe in the horror pond and go, okay, let's make this one-off Halloween special. There's, put it on Disney Plus so you're very risk-free. Do you know what I mean? Because it's a special, it's naturally going to be, you would think, I don't know, a bit shorter, maybe under an hour sort of thing. So there's less money into it. Experiment, use practical effects like you guys are saying. See what it's like. And then once that's released, you get the audience, vibe of like, oh, they're bringing in horror into the MCU. How does it gel with the audience? It's a good starter before we get something like Blade, I think. Because Blade is the one that I'm very intrigued by of how they're going to bring vampires in and go, why is everybody caring about vampires when there's like big aliens running around and stuff like that? Do you know what I mean? So I'm just really intrigued how they're going to, the darker underbelly of the MCU, how they're going to explore that. Now, in terms of the character, now obviously the first character is white and the second one is of Native American descent. But Marvel are looking for a Latino. Now, this leads me to believe that they might keep like the name of the current Werewolf by Night, which is Jake Gomez, because Gomez is a Latino name as well. And maybe just shift the sort of origin slightly. Do you know what I mean? And what leads me to believe why they're looking for a Latino is because there is some history of Werewolf by Night and Moon Knight teaming up in the comics. And as we know, Oscar Isaac is playing the character Moon Knight in the upcoming Disney Plus show. So it leads me to believe there's going to be maybe some connection with this special, this Werewolf by Night, and the character of Moon Knight and that series. Don't quote me on that, but I just have a feeling something could be brewing there, this little corner of the MCU, this little horror universe, you could say.
So what you're also saying is that we can have Agents of S.H.I.E.L.'s Ghost Rider back into the canon.
Hey, man.
I'd love that, genuinely.
I'm not dissing that. I'm a big fan of Ghost Rider. I love Ghost Rider. Just aesthetically, I mean, come on.
Yeah, and Gabriel Luna did a fucking great job as him in Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., I thought. I know people have their opinions about the show, but I thought he was a very interesting character, and the look of it is great. So I'd be happy for them to bring him into it. I mean, what I'm also wondering is maybe if they're making a new character for Werewolf by Night, and maybe we'll learn about the other two versions of the character in because he says it's like part of his lineage. So maybe like that's how you bring in the other Werewolves by Night or something like that. I don't know. It's interesting.
It's exciting.
Anyway.
Yeah, it's exciting. It's exciting. I think, it's interesting that the Halloween special, because we got the holiday special coming from Guardians 3. So, you know what? MCU, keep doing these fun little experiments. I like them.
Also, keep pushing young talent.
That's
the other thing I want them to do.
And diverse talents, as they're doing.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yes. All right, so we'll get into our next story, and oh boy, it's a big one. It's a big one. For anyone who knows me, knows how much I adore the Matrix franchise, particularly obviously the first film that is just groundbreaking in so many levels. It's one of my favorite films of all time. I have my opinions on the sequels, but I actually appreciate them a lot more than most people probably. So I am very excited for the prospect of the upcoming The Matrix Resurrections, the fourth film in the franchise, directed by Lana Wachowski. Lily will not be returning for this one. And recently, as we spoke about with Sony showing off the Spider-Man No Way Home trailer, CinemaCon has been going on, and it was Warner Brothers' turn to show off all the goodies that they've got coming down the pipeline. Now, while they didn't release the trailer online for the public to see, we do have a description of what Warner Brothers showed the people there, of this basically trailer or a collection of footage from the new film. So I'm going to start now. So the trailer begins with Thomas Anderson in therapy telling his therapist, played by Neil Patrick Harris, "I had dreams that weren't just dreams. Am I crazy?" He senses something is not quite right with the world, but he has no memory of what the Matrix is. Later, he runs into a woman, played by Carrie-Anne Moss, at a coffee shop. They shake hands, and there seems to be something between them, but neither one of them remembers the other. Meanwhile, Thomas spends his days taking prescription blue pills and wondering why everyone in his world is glued to their phones, looking around and realizing he's the only one in a crowded elevator not looking at a device. Eventually, Thomas runs into a man, played by Yahya Abdul-Mateen II, who is reminiscent of Morpheus, the freedom fighter played by Lawrence Fishburne in the original trilogy. This mysterious man hands Thomas a red pill, and we soon see footage of him with powers, seeing the Matrix for the fake reality that it is. There's also footage that follows similar beats to the original film, including Neo fighting Morpheus, the Morpheus figure like in a dojo. We see an image of Anderson in an incubator. There's also a shot of Neo looking in a mirror and seeing an older version of himself. And Neo also seems to have a few new powers from the last time, with the trailer also including a shot of what looks like him controlling a missile through telekinesis to prevent it from hitting him. So this sounds absolutely bonkers. It does feel like it's an homage to the original film while still being created by the original creator. I have a lot to say about this, but Rob, I know you are also a big Matrix fan, and we've spoken about Matrix numerous times. First of all, when you heard that they were going to make this fourth installment, what were your initial thoughts? And then now hearing this footage description, what are your thoughts now?
If I'm completely honest with you, this is a chance at basically rebuilding and redemption in a way, because I think for a lot of people, including myself, although having said that, I am going to rewatch the trilogy. I actually was going to start tonight, believe it or not. And in light of the new news, of course, and also Amazon and Netflix have now got the films on their respective platforms. And I'm just excited about, I said this to you earlier about art pushing the technology and technology pushing the art. That is what The Matrix, the first film, does for me. Like, as a kid, I remember watching it on VHS, rented it from the video store, and just be completely blown away by this movie and thinking, that we were making films like that right there and then, and how further we could go. And then obviously it took years later for them to do Matrix Reloaded and then Revolutions. And by that point, the technology was still at a level where we thought, you know what, that's pretty good. Now we look back and it looks somewhat dated, but the technology that we've got right now is astronomical, and I'm excited by how they're going to incorporate the story within the technology of now. And it sounds like with the use of mobile phones, and I thought it was quite ironic when you were explaining that description, I was using my mobile phone in that moment. So I thought, oh God, I'm one of them. I'm part of the system. I'm part of the problem. I'm now becoming a battery. It's all of this is, it's incredibly relevant. Also, what I'm excited by is something you and I have discussed many a time, Jake, is the philosophy that The Matrix brings within its, films. Like, the biggest one for me is know thyself from the Oracle. And may she rest. I thought she did a wonderful job as the Oracle. And I hope we get to see more philosophy being applied within the film, and the film bringing its own philosophy to life as well. And that, for me, is what is really exciting about this new Matrix film. Also, just seeing these actors again in one room together again, because they're now icons. Before they were stars, now they're icons, they're legends. And to see them all on the big screen, first of all, the budget just goes way up now because of their each individual salaries. But it's, they bring a prestige to each film now. And also, we all know that Keanu Reeves is just a lovely man. So just to see that guy work and do his thing in the best way possible in pushing the boundaries of technology, man, I'm super excited by this. I really am. I can't wait. It's going to be excellent.
Yeah, I mean, like you, I grew up with the Matrix. Like, I remember, like, my dad showing me, first of all, like, early kung fu movies, and me being a fan of those. And he was like, well, if you like these, you might want to, watch this. I think this was like 2000 or 2001, something like that. He's like, check out this. And that was it. From that moment, that became like my jam, my style, my aesthetic, my way of thinking, my love of movies, to what's possible in movie making. And Rob, you make a good point. There's a lot of technology out at the minute, but I still think, man, not half the films look as good as The Matrix does. Like, do you know what I mean? Like,
true.
that film just looks fucking spectacular. Sure, there's some outdated effects here and there, but overall, that film is fucking flawless. When they decided they're going to make a fourth one, it's funny because with a lot of franchises and stuff, I'm always excited. I'm like, oh my God, yes. But this one, I was more like, interesting that you've decided to pick this up now. Why have you decided to pick this up now? What is the reason for coming back to The Matrix? And the philosophy, as you mentioned, Rob, is a big part of The Matrix on what it has to say about humanity, about society, about how we treat technology, how we live with technology. And then I was really thinking about this, and I thought, you know what? The landscape we're in at the moment in the world with how technology is used or abused, depending on your point of view, the political landscape, the social injustice we're all facing now is as good a time as ever to bring back The Matrix, I think, because it was at a time in our life where we were at the tipping point of technology going into the new millennium, and it had a lot to say about that. And I think we're at a new tipping point now. We are, I don't know about you guys, but, with COVID and everything that's been happening, American politics, UK politics, I feel as if we're in a big change within the world. And man, what a time to tell a story about that and also feature these kick-ass characters doing what they do. Yeah, I'm so excited for this. I'm still really intrigued by it, though. There's a big question mark over this film for me, because they've obviously made creative choices such as, we're going to bring back Keanu Reeves and Carrie-Anne Moss, but not Lawrence Fishburne. We're going to get Yahya Abdul-Mateen II to play what it appears to be a younger version of Morpheus. That, to me, that doesn't sound like, Lawrence Fishburne was busy, or, because I'm sure Lawrence Fishburne would have come back in a heartbeat if Reeves and Carrie-Anne Moss were also coming back. I think that's a creative choice. And I'm really fascinated to what they're doing with that creative choice, these new interpretations of the characters. Because we are getting some of the cast back, along with, we're getting Jada Pinkett Smith is coming back as well. Lambert Wilson as the Morovingi is coming back. I just love that character in the films. And we're also getting Daniel Bernhardt as Agent Johnson, so the other main agent we see in, as long as with a plethora of new cast. So yeah, I'm super excited for it. This sort of footage thing, I'm just a bit like, okay, so we're recreating scenes from the original movie. What's the purpose of that? And very much like when the first Matrix, I was too young, obviously, when the first Matrix was coming out, but the marketing was, what is the Matrix? Do you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And I really hope Warner Brothers go into that more and just don't reveal too much about what this film is. Have this film as a mystery, a big question mark, something that you have to experience and unpack for yourself. Because I think whoever, everyone I've watched The Matrix with, we all agree it's a kick-ass movie, but everybody pulls something different from it. Everybody has a different experience with it and sees different themes that they resonate with, because it's packed full of stuff. So yeah, super excited about this. But Tom, I also know you're a big fan of the Matrix franchise. So what do you think of all this news?
So yeah, I'm a huge fan of the first film, less so in second and third one. I mean, I don't hate them, but I definitely don't rank them anywhere near as high as the first Matrix film. Huge fan of the Animatrix. I think that's one of the finest pieces of animation ever made, and what it adds to the story of the Matrix is just incalculable, actually. What it adds to the story, so much more, like lore drops and just background, and kind of like at the end of it going, I can kind of see why the robots, rose up. I'm kind of with them, to be honest. Humans are dicks. So that's what I took away from The Matrix. when they first announced they were doing The Matrix 4, I'm not going to lie to you, I wasn't actually that excited about it because I was kind of just like, right, is this because they actually want to like make the Matrix film and like have like an actual message in mind, and like, or are they just doing this for like the sake of doing it? Like the same reason we got like Bill and Ted reboot, Zoolander fucking reboot, a million fucking reboots in the past 10 years.
Hey, don't shit on my Bill and Ted. That was excellent.
Excellent.
I was not a fan of the third film, but that's just me. So I think it was just because of all this wave of stuff coming out, I was a bit just like, all right, just okay, whatever. Reading this information about the trailer, it just seems like they're Force Awakening it. And it's just like, oh, we're going to put in loads of story beats from the first film that you'll recognize and be like, oh, I see what they're homaging, and we'll just weave a new story into there to use as, like, as Jake said, rebuilding. I got to be honest, I'm not immediately a fan of that. I think it would be different if I could see the trailer rather than, like, see it. And also, like, as much as I do get the whole thing of just like we need to be careful about how we use technology, especially in the future as technology gets more advanced and such. But I think the whole thing of just like, I think it's maybe the way it's written, but how he's like, he realizes that like everyone is glued to his phones and he's the only one who's not glued to his phone. It just like smacks to me of kind of like those basement dweller Reddit people who are just like, nah, man, you're not awake. I'm awake. You're asleep. I've been red pilled and stuff. I know the truth. And just like, I'm not glued to my phone like common sheeple. It doesn't, nothing about this is actually exciting me about the film. Like, sure, it's going to be great to see Keanu and Carrie-Anne Moss on screen together. And sure, maybe the decision not to have Lawrence Fishburne there is a creative one, but why? Like, why would you not have Lawrence Fishburne there? Like, just doesn't make sense to me unless they're keeping it as a surprise in the film, which would be awesome if he just appears at the end and he's like, admittedly, that would be cool. And I feel like that must be what they're doing because I simply cannot fathom them not bringing back Lawrence Fishburne for this. Just doesn't make sense to me. So I apologize if my views are maybe a bit more negative than like you thought they were going to be. But as I said, it's just not at the moment grabbing me as like something I need or even something I think the world needs. That could be different. I could see the film and be like, okay, I can see the message they're trying to say. I can see it's important. I can see why this film had to be made. This is wonderful, fantastic, but just at the moment, not doing it for me.
That's fair enough because I can understand reading this on paper and going, okay, it's very similar to the first one. So yeah, you make a very valid point that we're not seeing the footage, we're just hearing about it. Does make a big impact. So the only thing I can really say to that is I just hope it's all in the execution, isn't it, really?
Yeah, exactly. Like the whole thing with the phones, like written down, it does sound, like I said, very basement dweller, red pill people. But obviously the way it's filmed, the way Keanu acts, the way the extras or whatever are acting can completely change it and can actually be like, actually, no, the way they're doing this is really cool, really subtle, and it makes a valid point. But just, yeah, I don't know, I think it was maybe partially a mistake to just release a description of the trailer and not the full trailer. Like, I don't know, it's just this whole thing of like, I get people at cons want to have this exclusivity of being the first to see these trailers, but equally it's like, right, show them the trailer, then once they've seen it in the hall, put it out online and release it. Because otherwise you're going to have like a week, 2 weeks of everyone like just dissecting a trailer description or watching really grainy, like crappy videos of it and not getting the full picture of it. And as I said, it's going to result in people like me not actually being sold on it. Whereas if they just dropped the trailer and I saw it, I'd probably be sat here right now going, I'm so hyped for this. I need it right now. Holy shit, he stopped a rocket missile with his... But again, that kind of just smacks to me of Force Awakens with, oh, look, Kylo Ren can stop a laser blast in midair with his like Jedi Force powers. So, and this isn't a shit on Force Awakens. I do like the Force Awakens, but I did have a lot of issues with how they went about it, with that whole, we're homaging the first film a shit ton and weaving a new story in, because I was just kind of like, just give us something new. I know they say it's poetry, it rhymes, but they don't use the same words all the time to make it rhyme, is what I'm saying.
Mm-hmm.
But the interesting thing about movies and TV shows in particular right now is that they are capitalizing on the nostalgia. And The Matrix 4 is, in many ways, I think, and I'm agreeing with you, Tom, is that it's potentially going to be seen as a big nostalgia trip. And while I'm okay with that, I just want them to bring something completely different. And I think ultimately they will, first and foremost through the technology. And also, I forgot to mention this as well, but and I think, Jake, you'll agree with this as well, but like it shaped my interest in heavy metal music as well. Like Rage Against the Machine for me is one of my favorite bands.
90s, early noughties breakbeat as well, like the Prodigy and stuff like that. It's all it's that DNA, man, is in there.
Yeah, and we're going to get an incredible soundtrack from this as well, I imagine, as well. And we'll probably see a few trends in leather jackets coming back in fashion, and shades in the street.
About damn time.
Absolutely.
Well, we've also got because they said in the description as well. Neo has got his John Wick look, so he's got the full-on beard and the long hair. How do we feel about that?
Not surprised at all, because now that's just his look. That's just
when
you book Keanu Reeves for a film, if he shows up and he's got short hair and a beard, they're going to be like, "No, you don't understand. You don't understand. We booked Keanu Reeves, as in now Keanu Reeves, not old Keanu Reeves."
It's not even like a lockdown look.
Yeah.
It's not even like a lockdown look. It's just him now. I love it.
Because it's like just... in Cyberpunk, he voices a character. They model him off him. I'm just like, it's John Wick. That's just John Wick, but with a metal arm. Which, good God, that would be terrifying. John Wick's I've got a metal arm now.
Don't kill my dog.
He chops off his finger, doesn't he, in one of them? So it's not too far-fetched when you think about it.
Think of the damage he could do. I mean, look what he did to that room full of people with a pencil. A fucking pencil.
Oh yeah, and didn't he the scene in the third one where he uses a library book or something? Yeah,
so good.
It's like the reverse of like when Jackie Chan uses weird objects for comedy, and he's just like, oh, look at this, I'm using a flower pot to beat someone up. But with John Wick, it's like, I'm gonna kill you with this flower pot. I'm gonna kill your family with this flower pot.
On the action as well, this is another thing I'm really hoping for in this film, is that the action matches what they did in the original trilogy, because that was also groundbreaking on a totally other level to bring...
I disagree. I think it needs to surpass it.
Well, there's also... Yes, okay. But I would say, wow, that's a tall bar to reach, because it was like, we've spoken about this, Tom, numerous times, that Asian Hong Kong cinema, especially martial arts movie, they just hit different to when you're watching American action movies.
Yeah.
There's just something about the action and the choreography. The Wachowskis admired that, loved that, and brought that to Western cinema with The Matrix. And I've been vocal about, in modern action movies, especially a lot of comic book movies, action can sometimes be very messy. There's a lot going on. There's explosions everywhere, people flying around. And there doesn't seem to be much choreography in a lot of it. A lot of it is visual effects based. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying all of them. There's some very good exceptions. Like I say, the Winter Soldier, for me anyway, probably has the best action hand-to-hand choreography in the entire MCU. That's just me anyway.
Yep, I agree. No, I agree with that.
But then again, I look at Christopher Nolan films with the Batman. I go, some of the action, you kind of cheated a bit there in very close-ups and stuff for very quick editing and cuts and stuff like that. So
but then you have a film like Ip Man, and you have that scene where he's got to take out that room full of people, and just the scene I mean, where he just pounds that guy in the chest to the floor.
And it's these long shots as well of that you can see these actors and the stunt performers doing the moves. Like there's no quick cutting or anything like that. They're actually performing the fights. Do you know what I mean? And I want to see that for the Matrix Resurrections. They need to capitalize on that and have something new to say about action like they did in 99 as well.
Well said. Well said.
Very excited for that. That will be coming to cinemas and also, unfortunately, HBO Max on December 22nd. I'm telling you, man, that's going to kill it. That's going to kill its box office right there, especially at Christmas time.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Anyway, Tom, what we got next?
What have we got next? Well, sprinting into our news story this week, we got stuff.
Hey.
Hey, we got stuff about the Flash. So, the Flash movie cinematographer has teased the massive scope and complex storytelling. So, I'm going to dive into this, but let me tell you, I've got a couple of thoughts about what he said. I'm sure you two will as well. So, Collider recently got the chance to speak with cinematographer Henry Braham. God, what is it with the unusual surnames today? For an exclusive interview about his excellent work on another DC movie, The Suicide Squad. And during the conversation, they asked him about his work on The Flash, given that the film is currently in production. Whilst Graham was tight-lipped, he echoed comments he made about The Suicide Squad being compelling as a movie first and foremost, and not just a superhero movie, which is very weird considering Suicide Squad is one of the most comic book superhero movies ever made. So, this is what he said. Anyway, The Flash is going great. I mean, it's a complex movie, and it's a fantastic concept of bringing in the generations of these kind of comic books. Again, it's not really a comic book movie. It's not based in reality, but it's a much more kind of technically complex. I think all the filmmakers are really keen that the technical complexity of the storytelling doesn't get in the way of just good quality filmmaking. Hopefully, I don't think it'll ever come across as a superhero movie. It will come across as a movie, and that's what it is. I think that's the way these things need to go. We need to be making great, great, great films that happen to have superheroes who have truthful characters behind them with all the character flaws that we find in humanity. While Braham declined to discuss the film's tone, he did talk about working with Keaton and the rest of the cast and teased the film's large scope, saying, "It's a pleasure working with the cast as they're fantastic. Michael, of course, is a genius, and it's wonderful to see him recreate that role in the present day. It's wonderful. I think the movie has a massive scope, and I'm lucky to be able to work on movies I'd like to go and see. I'm not really interested in comic book movies. I'm interested in movies that take me on a journey, an emotional journey, and a visual journey." Right, so before we get into it, before I pass it over to you, what the hell is Henry Braham's issue here? What is all this, right? So I got a rant about this. So it's ridiculous for a start. If you're making a film about a comic book character, guess what? It's a comic book movie. If that character's a superhero, guess what? It's a superhero movie. That doesn't necessarily mean bad film. I think we've seen in recent years the comic book movies can be really, really good films. And comic book movie is just... It's not like a type of film. It's not like a feeling that you get on a cold summer's morning. It's just a catch-all umbrella term for movies that have come from comic books. And the fact that he's here saying, I'm not really interested in comic book stories, then why the hell are you working on The Flash and The Suicide Squad then? I don't understand his comments. I'm getting really agitated by them because I'm fed up of this trend where people have to see this go, oh, but this movie, it's not just like a comic book movie. It's not like other superhero movies. Yes, it is. It can be a really good movie. Hell, it could be an Oscar-worthy movie like Eternals is shaping up to be. But guess what? It's still a superhero movie. Lord of the Rings is still a fantasy film about trolls, elves, and dwarves. It's a great movie, but it's a fantasy movie. So I'm angry about this. I'm going to pass it over to you before I start throwing hands. Rob, what do you think?
I don't know how to follow up from that, apart from maybe agree that Michael Keaton is a genius, first of all. I agree with that statement. Yeah, the comments about comic book movie thing is an interesting one, really, because it's almost like he's essentially trying to differentiate himself with, well, not just himself, but also differentiate the DC movies with the Marvel movies in a way as well, because I think DC movies recently have tried to kind of shape themselves to be something completely different, as of recently, I mean, to be different than the Marvel movies, despite the fact that they are both comic book movies. We cannot deny that. You know, they are both superhero movies, they are both comic book movies. They are labeled that way. We just have to, because that is what they are. They are the conventions of a comic book movie. They are the conventions of a superhero movie. They happen to be one of the same thing. You just can call them whatever you want them to call them. A drama with someone who happens to wear a cape. Okay, we'll go with that. Yeah, I kind of feel sorry for the Flash a little bit because, you know, there's more talk right now about Batman in his own movie. And that's a bit of a shame, really, because I think I like the Flash as a character, and I think Ezra Miller does a really good job as the Flash. I think he did a good one, especially in the Snyder Cut. I thought it was really bashed around in the previous cut that we will never talk about. But yeah, and I feel it is a bit of a shame that, again, the running themes of this, which seems to be the crux of this quote, is about technology and again about nostalgia. It's about bringing back a former generation of characters or interpretation or world of these characters and bring it into the light of today. And while that is very exciting, don't get me wrong, and yes, Michael Keaton is a genius, of course, we must remember at the end of the day that this is a Flash movie, and it is also a comic book movie at that. And and again, it's almost like he's saying that any other comic book movies don't have emotional core to them, which I think is wrong. I think there is a lot of emotional core in these movies, depending on who views them. I mean, it was funny because when you were talking about the whole thing about cinema and everything, emotion, I was doing my "it's not real." It's that quote from Scorsese doing "it's not real," and I love him. Don't get me wrong, but that quote always just gets me every time. It's cinema. It's not real. But yeah, I'm still excited by The Flash regardless, and I like the fact that he's talking about the scope of it all, because I think that is going to be the thing that is going to push it even further, is that it's not just the scope in the storytelling, but it's the way that they're actually making the film as well. And there have obviously been some leaks already of, like the back. Well, I don't think it's been a leak. I think they just published it. They showed that they've gone back to the Batcave. They've gone back to the original castle where they filmed in 89 and 92. And that's all really exciting. And also, I really appreciate the fact that they filmed it in Glasgow as well. Now, that sounds like a really silly thing to say, but I just think it's better to film in unique locations. But then, again, you're talking about someone who filmed theirs in Bristol, so, even more unique of a location. So, yeah, I'm still excited, but still, as you, Tom, quite frustrated by some of the comments being made there. And I don't know what more I can say to follow up on the way that you put it. I think you were more eloquent, if I'm honest with you. I think you could have gone even further. Yeah, I really do. I think you could have gone even further.
Yeah.
I will be not as polite as you, Rob.
Okay.
This guy's a fucking joke. Like,
I didn't want to say it because I was like, oh, I don't want Jake to reprimand me after in case we get Henry Graham on the show. But
don't fucking say, oh, I'm not really a fan of comic book movies. Then why are you meeting with Warner Brothers to work on all of these fucking comic book movies? What is it? Is it the paycheck? Yeah, it might be the paycheck. Do you know what I mean? Because I'm sure it's a hefty one on these type of films. But, like, no, it fucking pisses me off. I'm so tired, like you, Tom, of this notion of, like, oh, it's not really a comic book movie. It's like a real movie. Do you know what I mean? Get the fuck off that horse, man. Like, it's a movie, okay? All movies are movies.
Yeah.
They just have a different genre attached to them. And comic book movie is not even a genre. It's an umbrella. And within that umbrella, you have multiple different genres. So this one's going to be some sort of weird sci-fi time travel DC character bonanza sort of thing. It's a comic book movie. Black Panther was an Oscar-nominated film. Guess what, bro? That's a comic book movie. So, I'm tired of this fucking shit, man. But he's also contradicting himself. He's like, oh yeah, it's a fantastic concept of bringing in generations of comic books, but I don't like comic books.
Yeah.
But it's not based in reality. It's more like technical. I'm tired of it, man. I'm just like, it just seems to me that he doesn't care about these characters. Like, it feels like it's another job to him to, like, okay, what's next on my, list of, jobs that I've got to do and stuff like that, or what jobs can I get around? What's around at Warner Brothers at the minute? And it doesn't feel like he's like, oh yeah, even he doesn't have to be a fan of the character, but he has to be a fan of what he's doing. I feel you have to have passion in every project you're creating. And to me, this doesn't seem like he's got passion for the project. He's just like, yeah, it's really complex. I'm really interested in the technology and what we're doing, but not in the story and what type of thing they're trying to say. He's just like, yeah, it's not a comic book movie, but it's a real movie. So yeah, I'm tired of this notion, but Yeah, okay, yeah, he's right about Michael Keaton being a genius. I'll agree with him there. Can't deny that. That is fact.
Absolutely true there. I mean, like, another issue I kind of have with it is just like in his comments when he's basically going on about like, oh yeah, we're giving these like characters depths and giving them flaws and making them. And it's just like, all right, so what you've done is you've just taken characters that already had that in the comics, because guess what, people, comics actually do have some depth to them. So you're not actually doing anything new there by going, we're giving these characters the personalities they have in the comics. And also just like, it's just, there's two things. One, it's just, I agree with what Rob briefly said earlier, that it seems weird that they're just throwing in so many Batman into the Flash's first solo movie, but it's just like reminiscent of all of WB's like problems with just shoehorning Batman into every fucking thing they can. Hey, let's make an anime. Let's make it Batman. Oh, let's do Justice League Dark. Okay, let's have Batman there so we can do absolutely nothing until the last scene where he throws a batarang to blow something up. It's just that. And I feel like someone at Warner Brothers has gotten confused and thought they're doing a Wally West Flash film, because that's the only explanation for how they could treat the Flash so badly, is if it's Wally West and not Barry Allen. Yeah, I'm talking to you, DC. Talking to you.
I will say one more thing. I think you two were right about one thing. I was probably too polite on my comments just then.
That's what this space is here for, Rob.
Yeah, absolutely.
I feel as I can't do this though. I feel as I'm just turning into an angry guy on the internet. Like,
yeah.
Rob, show us where Warner Brothers hurt you on the doll, okay?
Yeah. Yeah, too polite.
I mean, no, I'm the same as you, Rob, and you, Tom. Like, this is a Flash film. Yes, I'm excited for the prospect of Michael Keaton coming back in the cowl. Yes, I'm excited to see what the hell is happening with Batflex. It's exciting, but I'm just like, why do you have to do this in the first Flash movie? Yeah. This could be like an epic end of a trilogy thing. Do you know what I mean? That's what it feels like to me. Not your opening movie to this hero. I don't know. It just seems a bit over the top. And let's not forget, I am so excited of the prospect of getting a Latina Supergirl, Sasha Calle, playing that character. Yeah. I'm so gassed for that. In fact, I might even be more excited for that than seeing the Batmans.
Same, actually, because like just based on the background images we got, she looks fucking fantastic.
She looks fucking fantastic. But it's like, how can we make this not about a Flash movie? Well, throw in Supergirl.
And it's like what I'm hoping as well, because I know we discussed this before, but I am hoping that maybe it was like misspoken or like cleverly worded when they were like, if I go into the film and the Flash ends up fighting some evil version of himself, I will be sad.
Oh, I saw that. Yeah, I saw those.
If it's reverse
rumors.
Flash, I will be happy. What will be even worse is if they somehow amalgamate the two and make it so reverse Flash is a future evil Flash. Then I will walk out of that movie and I'll never even talk about it again. I'll refuse to do the review for the show if something like that happens, genuinely.
Yeah, I heard those rumors as well. I also heard that Ezra Miller was playing his evil self, and I was like,
I don't like this. I don't like where this is going. We had this in season 3 of The Flash, and it was bad.
Yeah, I don't know how reliable those rumors are. I'd say when I first saw them, I was like, that's a bit far-fetched. Like, I know this movie's going to be crazy, but I was like, I think that's a bit much.
Yeah, I believe the term I've been using for how the Flash film should be is balls to the wall, batshit insane. So
I mean, it's definitely going to be that.
If
anything.
So.
And but like we said, we won't really know this sort of tone of this film until we see any footage of it. Which, you know what? That's a perfect segue into our main topic. So let's take a quick break and we'll get into everything that's coming at DC FanDome.
DC FanDome. Join us live October 16th, 2021, streaming free on DCFanDome.com. Register now on DCFanDome.com and be the first to get news, merch, and more.
All right, and we're back now, and what a main topic have we got for you. On the day of recording, on Tuesday this week, DC announced the big slate for DC FanDome 2021. So it's going to be coming back in October. Like last year, it will be online completely for free for everyone around the world. And DC will be making announcements and show exclusive content from films, television series, games, comics, the lot of it, okay? They've already confirmed that we're going to be getting the new trailer for The Batman. We're going to be getting a sneak peek at The Flash, Black Adam, DC League Super Pets. The hierarchy of DC Super Pets is about to change. And we're also going to be getting some behind-the-scenes look at Aquaman and the Lost Kingdom and Shazam! Fury of the Gods. But that's not all. The CW-verse will also be there to present Batwoman, The Flash, Superman and Lois. They're also going to be doing a farewell tribute to Supergirl. There's going to be a celebration of 100 episodes of Legends of Tomorrow. And we're also be getting our first look at the new Naomi, done by Ava DuVernay. And then outside of the CW, we're going to be getting news about Sweet Tooth second season, James Gunn's Peacemaker, Ava DuVernay's DMZ, and all the animated stuff as well. So Young Justice, Harley Quinn, the new Batman Caped Crusader. Rob, I know you're very excited about that. And that's not all, guys. There's also going to be news for all the gamers in the world of comic books. So they're going to be talking about Gotham Knights and the new Suicide Squad Kill, the Justice League. And finally, they're also going to be giving us looks at the new Injustice animated film and a new animated heist movie called Catwoman Hunted. So this event's going to be streaming on Saturday, October 16th. Rob, there's a lot here, man. It's going to be an exciting day for DC fans around the world. Out of everything here, I know what you're going to go to first. But other than the Batman, of course, we'll start with the Batman, of course. But other than the Batman, what excites you? What are you excited to hear about? Watch, see what's coming down the pipeline. What do you got, Rob?
Well, the first thing I just wanted to address, if I'm completely honest with you, is actually the marketing for DC FanDome. I don't know if you've seen the poster, but it's a bit all over the place, isn't it? It's a fairly packed kind of... I looked at it and thought, they could have done a bit better. You know, like, I think you could have spaced it out a little bit, a little bit more. It almost felt like they looked at maybe Avengers Infinity War and went, we'll just copy what they did. They managed to get everything in there somehow. We'll just do what they did. So, yeah, I guess you weren't expecting me to gripe about the marketing material, first of all. Yeah, with that to one side, I just wanted to quickly mention, I loved last year's event. And I remember, Jake, we were following it together, and it was such a great day to be a DC fan. And, I will be wearing my DC FanDome t-shirt that I bought last year as well. And, and celebrating the best way possible this year as well, either via the medium of a laptop or a big TV. And clearly...
We're going to be arranging something, Rob. So keep your eyes and ears peeled for that.
I like the sound of that. Of course, I'm excited for the Batman stuff. I have a feeling that might open it, the event, because they closed it last year with the teaser, which, as you know, was a fantastic teaser. But if I'm completely honest, I think the thing that I'm excited for the most is because I think it's the most bizarre thing to come out of the whole thing for me is the Super Pets thing. I'm intrigued to know more. I'm intrigued to know more about the Super Pets because, it's just so... it's not bizarre. That's the thing. It's not really bizarre. But for something that's not supposed to be a comic book thing, it happens to be a comic book thing, huh? We're back to that argument again. No, it's exciting to see what this Super Pets animation is, because remind me, it's The Rock, isn't it?
He's voicing Crypto,
the dog, which I think is
genius, really.
Genius, yeah, it's genius, but it's also fairly quite lazy as well, because he's just literally walking off set to then walk into a sound booth, But yeah, I'm excited about that. They also dropped the Peacemaker teaser poster as well, which was fine. It is what it is. And it looks like it says Pissmaker on the license plate. I guess that's funny. Yeah. There you go. It works.
Shots fired.
Look, I said this before. The childish humor thing is not my, the teenage boy humor, thing is not my thing. And that's why John Cena's humor works for that film. So look, it'll work for the Peacemaker series as well. But as I said before, I'm just excited to see the surprises again to be brought out. And, yeah, I'm just hoping the guy the guy that we spoke just a minute ago about the Flash movie
Henry
doesn't
Braham.
appear on stage again. Thank you, Henry Braham doesn't appear on a virtual stage and deliver a same speech once again, because I think the whole internet will erupt.
Oh, I'll be jumping in that chat straight away, being, listen here, Brahams, right?
Now listen here, son. But yeah, with the Batman trailer clearly being, going to be one of the big highlights. I'm intrigued to hear if what the rumors are to be true. Are we going to see a horror Batman film? Are we going to see more of Paul Dano's the Riddler in this trailer? Because we've been hearing so much more stuff about this film now that, getting more of a teaser would be lovely. I just hope we don't get too much revealed. So I'm super excited about the event and about Super Pets, because I'm intrigued to see what else is going to be unveiled in regards to the Super Pets. And I just hope that the marketing gets a bit better as the time goes on for the event.
Yes, let's hope so. Unfortunately, that poster fell to the victim of, let's just throw every character on the poster and use Photoshop because it's cheap. But then I'd said this in our group chat. I was like, I don't care too much because it's not a movie poster. So
yeah,
I'm like, I'm not as bummed. If that was a movie poster, I'd be like, what the hell are you doing?
Actually, no. If that was a movie poster, I'd be like, Warner Brothers, what the hell are you doing?
What the hell are you doing? Where's this coming?
Is this like a film version of Crisis on Infinite Earths? Are you finally listening to my advice that it should have been a series of films and not fucking... Sorry.
They were like,
all
right, Marvel, you have your No Way Home trailer. Check this out. We're having everything. Tom, how about you then? What are you excited for? What stands out to you? What are you looking forward to?
Well, I can't wait for the inevitable Batman trailer. They'll have, obviously, Jeffrey Wright narrating over it, being like, I'm Commissioner Gordon. I watch as Batman beats up thugs on the streets, but I cannot and will not interfere. I think
nice.
That'll be, thank you. I think that'll be fantastic. So yeah, obviously it goes without saying I'm excited for the Batman trailer, because I'm just so intrigued by the prospect of our Pats as Batman. I loved him in the first trailer, just like, I am vengeance. I was like, yes, you are. You are. So I want to see more of that. Excited to see a sneak peek of The Flash. Maybe just so as it finishes and they all stood there smugly, I can just go, that's a comic book film, mate. Don't know what to tell you. That's a bog standard comic book film there. So then, yeah, Black Adam, I'm intrigued to see a first look at that, because I maybe want to get into The Rock's headspace, because at the moment, everything he posts about working on Black Adam, I'm just like, will you please shut the fuck up, man? You are doing my head in. Yeah, he's just there, like, standing in front of just, like, a set where there's, like, some bits of rubble on the floor and a pillar's fallen over, and he's like, the destruction and scope of this film is unimaginable. This is the hierarchy is going to change forever. I'm like, just shut up and show me what the movie's going to fucking look like, all right? You're turning into Vin Diesel, and I don't appreciate you turning into Vin Diesel right now. So yeah, it will be nice to finally see some goddamn footage on that. League of Super Pets.
Whoa, come on.
Shade.
Not my tempo. Also, I mean, like, as excited, as it would be nice to see maybe some footage for Aquaman and Shazam. Seeing some behind the scenes stuff, I'm not too excited about. I like that stuff when, like, the films come out and I want to see, like, what it was like behind the scenes, not before the films come out, because it ruins my suspension of disbelief. What if I'm watching a scene and I'm like, I've seen the photo of that where she's wearing ropes, so I know she's wearing ropes here. This has ruined my immersion. CW verse? No, in all seriousness, I'm actually getting tentatively more excited about the CW verse at the moment, just because the Flash looks like for the new season of the Flash, the CW have gone, right, we need to fix this, guys. People have stopped liking the Flash now. We need to fix this, so let's have a 5-episode crossover event. Black Lightning's coming back. Everyone's coming back. Tony Curran is coming in as Despero. We're getting Despero. I mean, I'm excited for that. And also 100 episodes of DC's Legends of Tomorrow. I can tell you for a fact, when that series first aired, no one would have bet money on it reaching 100 episodes. I always loved it, but a lot of people really didn't like it, especially the first season, which is weird because the first season is arguably the tightest in terms of story and structure. Like, it's really great. Gaming, I'm excited for, because the Suicide Squad I'm so hyped for. I think that looks like a really fun and interesting game, and it is just nice to sort of see them going outside of the Batman of it all for their video games and going, fine, we do have other interesting characters, so we'll use them. We got them, well, hopefully in this one we get to kill Batman as the ultimate message to Warner Brothers. We're done with the Batman. He only needs 2, maybe 3 series a month coming out.
You've really hurt Rob's feelings right now. Look at him.
Look, I love the Batman, but there's just so much Batman. It's like with the animated stuff. Though. They're going, fine, we'll finally give you an animated film that's not Batman. What is it? It's his girlfriend, Catwoman, and he's probably going to be in it, at least for a scene, let's be honest. Well,
yeah, absolutely.
But
I can just imagine Tom being like, fine, I'll do it myself.
Oh, yeah, if I ever got the job at DC, I'd just be like, yeah, I'm killing Batman off in about 6 months, and he will stay dead for a minimum of 2 years, and you will like it. 3 months later, he'll be back out of the grave again, because they'll be like, we can't kill Batman off for 2 years.
He'd be like,
that's insane.
Tom, Mr. Gapper, sales are down since you killed Batman.
If you're going to keep complaining, I'll kill Superman again.
Again?
Do it. Because, of course, for Batman to die, him and Superman will be locked in Mortal Kombat. I feel like it's the only way to finally kill the both of them. But yeah, overall, I'm very excited by everything that's coming out, with the exception of the Injustice animated film, just because I don't think it looks... The cast list, I looked at the cast list and I was like, this is not the strongest cast they've ever had for. Why is Jensen Ackles not back as Batman? That's what I want to know. That's what I want to know. Where is he? Where is he? So yeah, overall very excited. I'm very much looking forward to DC FanDome Day, and I'll be looking forward to reporting on it. And hopefully, I'll come out of it feeling very positive and just going, you know what, there wasn't enough Batman actually. I think, but.
I have a feeling that might not be the case.
Yeah, they'll just show the Batman trailer and go, by the way, we've got about 6 films lined up for this universe. Just like, oh God,
there's more.
Just give me a question series, please. just one just give me one pilot episode of a question series and I'll shut up forever about Batman, please. Rob, you're on this. I trust you, Rob. I trust you.
You can't, because it'll be Montoya, and Montoya's linked to Batman.
Oh, fine, so long as we get the question, please. I'll play him. I don't give a fuck.
No, like you guys, of course, absolutely. I'm so excited to see a new trailer for the Batman. Like Rob, I want them to reveal more, but not too much. I want to see more of Paul Dano as the Riddler. I want to see a bit more of Zoe Kravitz as Catwoman. And, you know, funnily enough, I just want to see a little bit more of Serkis as Alfred and the banter between Bruce and Alfred, because I think that is absolutely crucial to a Batman film. You need to nail that banter, that relationship, or the film doesn't work.
Agreed.
So, I think Patterson and Serkis is a pairing I wouldn't have picked, but I think it's a really interesting and bold choice for both parks. So, incredibly excited for that. And as you mentioned, Rob, the rumors of, the test screenings of it's not really rumors, it's more like reports, reactions of this is a darker, more horror, scarier version of the Batman. Now, I think some people have blown it a bit out of proportion. I don't think there's fucking monsters and it's like a proper horror movie and things like that. I think it's more in the sense of suspense and the oncoming dread of what's to come. In fact, I've seen other people say it's more in line with Fincher's Seven and Zodiac, which I'm like, see, that is what I feel as if what they're talking about, the horror and the dark vibe. Because those films are horrific in their own ways. So
Seven left me fucked up in so many ways.
Exactly. Man. It's got some really grotesque, horrific imagery.
That murder, the lust murder was, oh, God.
Oh, no.
Yeah, that one was
pretty bad. And, if we're to believe that this is, adapting Long Halloween, a murder mystery, he's following the Riddler and stuff like that. Oh, man, I'm so excited.
Yeah.
And I also just want another spiel from Matt Reeves, because at last year's, the way he was talking about the film, the way he was talking about his vision for this world he's creating, I was all in. I just could not get enough of it. And that is the difference to Henry Braham. Do you know what I mean? So like someone where you just feel the passion and the love oozing out of them, and you're just like, oh, you know what? I don't care what you make. I just know it's coming from you. It's coming from a really deep personal place. So yes, very excited for that. Enough on the Batman. CW, So I'm not as positive on it as you, Tom. I used to be, but not so much anymore, just because I'm just so far behind.
But Despero's coming. Doesn't that count for anything anymore?
Maybe not for me. I want to see something from Black Adam. Fucking come on, man. The Flash, exciting. Super Pets, and and Aquaman and Shazam behind the scenes. Aquaman, I understand because they've only just started, or they maybe even have it. Yeah, they've only just started shooting, so I get it. They haven't got anything. But Shazam, they've been, I think David F. Sandberg.
They wrapped, didn't they?
Either something. Sure.
Yeah, they wrapped, or he's hinted at that that's very close to finishing. So come on, man, you can get something together.
20-second teaser. It doesn't even have to be something you filmed. Just like make a little
exactly with
teaser.
the team in the new costumes and stuff like that, because we've already seen the image. Imagine that all like dolled up and stuff. Fucking amazing. So yeah, give us something like that. What else we got? The animated stuff. Yeah, like I'm a huge fan of the Harley Quinn series. I believe it is one of the best animated series DC has ever produced. I would, obviously not in the same category really, but it's just underneath the legacy of Batman animated series and Justice League. I think Harley Quinn just falls underneath that. It's just so cleverly written. It's incredible. Yes, it's R-rated. Some of the jokes, it depends if you like that type of humor, but I think it's really, really well done. So I'm excited to see more about that. And I'm sorry, Tom, but I'm intrigued to see what they're going to talk about the Batman Caped Crusader series, this new take or sequel or reboot, whatever it is, of the Batman animated series.
I mean, yeah, well, obviously that goes without saying. If it's carrying on from the animated series, I mean, we're all excited for that. I'm not a monster, Jake. Okay, I have a soul.
Well, I'm hoping, because I don't know how far along they are into this. As we know, animation takes a very long time. So if anything, I'm just hoping to hear from the creators and why they decided to do this now. Why bring back the animated series? Why, risk tarnishing its legacy? Do you know what I mean? Like, why do it now? So
money.
Yeah, and the games. I'm not really a gamer. Do you know what I mean? Like, tell you what, I'll play them when I come round yours, Tom. We'll have a couple of rounds on, what is it? Suicide Squad killed the Justice League.
Yes, and Gotham
I reckon
Knights as well.
I wouldn't be. I was going to say Gotham Knights.
Yeah, I do like the Arkham games. Great. So if that's following that, then
and it's like co-op when you get to play as the Bat Family. I call Batgirl.
You can have her. I've got.
I will.
You've got. I've got my boy Nightwing.
I'll take Robin then. In that case.
Damien.
Damien. It's Damien, Nightwing, Jason. And
it's Jason Red Hood,
Barbara.
isn't it?
Yeah.
You choose
Damian Wayne's in there. I can't
over Red Hood.
What?
Yeah, I would.
Fair play.
I would actually.
Damian Wayne is the superior character, yes. And that might be my Morrison bias.
I mean, yeah. Okay.
With the Suicide Squad kill the Justice League, because that's from Rocksteady as well, and obviously they've got a huge reputation of, doing obviously great, fantastic Batman games. I would not be surprised, Tom, if I'm completely honest with you, that if they did mission 1 is kill Batman, I would not be surprised if that was the first mission. But
he's last.
He's not last. He's not last.
Superman would be last.
No, Superman would. Yeah,
if
Superman
Batman
I think
can
would be the
defeat
last.
Superman because of all these, he's got plans within plans within plans. Do you know, like,
yeah, but it would be such a shock to the system
Also,
as a gamer.
yeah, but it'd be unbelievable. I'd play that and be like, I don't believe this. Batman wouldn't die first.
I just want to make a very just obvious point, is that if Superman ever wanted to actually beat Batman, he could. That's what I'm saying. If he ever wanted to actually beat him in a fight, he'd just like zoom to him straight away, throw him up into space. What the hell's Bruce going to do then?
Oh, he'd have something in space to catch him or something.
That's the thing. Like 9 times out of 10, whenever you have these things where it's like Batman and Superman are fighting, there's always some reason why Superman would hold back. And that's the reason Batman ends up winning.
Because he's a good man. And Bruce is a tormented soul, bless him.
With prep
With
time.
prep time.
That's always, with prep time. It's always that answer.
I do
isn't it?
kind of appreciate how Scott Snyder with... I can't remember what the first one was, whether it was Death Metal or Dark Knights or whatever. But when he basically made Batman's plot armor canon by going like, it's Barbatos. He's trying to keep Bruce alive because he's the vessel of, the Dark Multiverse and all that. And it's just like, so that's why he's got such amazing plot armor, is because the god of the Dark Multiverse wants him to live. So I appreciate Snyder for that.
Now, something else I'd like to speak about. So we got, they've announced all these things that we're getting. Now, do you think we're going to get any news on any other projects, future projects or anything like that?
I think we'll get a hint at maybe Wonder Woman 3, potentially.
I think that's too far away because Patty Jenkins is busy with Star Wars now.
She is, but I reckon they'll probably... I don't know. Again, this is maybe probably just wishful thinking because I just think...
I'm hoping for maybe some news on... it's a very sensitive subject here on CCM, but all the HBO Max films that they've announced. So Blue Beetle, Black Canary, Batgirl. I'm sure there was another one.
All the minority and female.
All the minority people of color films.
Well, the only reason why I say about the Wonder Woman film, or it's something to do with Wonder Woman, is because as I remember, this is the 80th year of the character's existence. So I think they will try and do something really special, and
Gal will be up for it.
Yeah, and I think maybe even Linda Carter.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Bring all three of them: Patty, Linda, and Gal.
Exactly. And also, I mentioned obviously the marketing earlier, but I think Jim Lee is going to be back designing the stage. I mean, that's going to look amazing again. I remember saying to you, this looks freaking amazing.
It is incredible because me and Dave covered last year's one of our first episodes of this podcast, and we were saying that it was such a weird time in the world, because of COVID, the pandemic, and all of that, and can't do live events and all of this. So everybody was like, well, what are we going to do? We're going to create these virtual event things and stuff like that. And there was some we don't know how this is going to work. It's very much like a trial and error thing. We got Comic-Con didn't quite work for them or anything like that.
Oh, it flopped.
It was a massive flop. But me and Dave both came out of this saying wow, I actually have to give credit to Warner Brothers and DC because they did a bang-up job organizing this event. And if they did something as good as that last year, I can only hope that this year is going to be much better. And I want to see that Jim Lee artwork all over the place. Give me some of those fancy new posters as well. So as I mentioned, this DC FanDome will be streaming globally on Saturday, October 16th. I'm going to try and organize something for all of the CCM crew to get together and try and watch it. And of course, we will be covering it. All the news, all the announcements, all the trailers on the podcast. And we might even bring you back, Rob, because I'm sure there'll be a lot to cover.
And if folks at home want to send us on Twitter ideas for a drinking game we could do for the fandom, we're...
Don't, because you know what's good. They're going to just take a shot every time Batman is mentioned.
Just be on the floor after 10 minutes. Rob, you did this. I don't know why Rob did it, but I'll be blaming him for it.
Every time the question is mentioned, we down our drinks. Oh, we're still sober.
Let's go.
Oh.
Well, they'll keep teasing us because they'll just be like, because I'm sure the question you have, everyone, is how many more films do we have? And it's just like, no, you bastard, give it.
Well, fans will be another one. Take a shot every time they say fans.
Yeah.
Oh, good Lord.
Yeah, so we'll be there reporting it all, and we're going to take another quick break now, and we'll be back with our weekly pull list.
Well, after X-Men hit at the box office, all the studios started buying up every comic property they could get their dirty little hands on.
Okay, so diving into our pull list, should we start? Let's start with Marvel this week. So, I mean, we've got a number of great things coming out this week. I mean, World War She-Hulk is continuing in Avengers. We got some New Mutant stuff. But my top picks from Marvel this week, first of all, is going to be Tom Taylor's Dark Ages issue 1. This has been long awaited. It's basically going to be I say Elseworlds. It's a Marvel thing, so I guess it's technically a what if instead of an Elseworld, but that is usually meaning Tom Taylor is absolute best with him having free reign to do anything. It is another end of the world kind of story, but it's Tom Taylor at Marvel. It looks like it's going to be super interesting. So sticking with Marvel then, I actually am going to recommend The Avengers issue 48 because World War She-Hulk is actually it's been pretty good so far. It's just been nice to see finally like the fallout between the Winter Guards and the Avengers because that has been a long time coming. Say what you will about character designs. It's Jason Aaron. It's the Avengers. It's been a really fun run, and World War She-Hulk is definitely something to check out. Hopping on over then to DC. So back again in my pull list is Infinite Frontier, but I mean, what can I say? It keeps delivering. I mean, right down to the cover art on this one, Darkseid's ass looks fat with a PH. It's like he's looking good on this one. He's got junk in his trunk, and I think that is reason enough alone to pick up this issue. Also, Roy Harper and Jade might be alive and running about and doing stuff. So, I mean, check that out. And then staying with DC then, it's another one which regularly makes my pull list, but again, I can't help it. It's just so good. It's Wonder Girl issue 3, Homecoming Part 3. It's, I don't know, I've just been finding this character really fun and interesting. In some ways, I prefer her a bit to Diana, but she's just, in some ways. I think overall, Diana
after
is still
3 issues.
Overall, Diana is still my favorite Wonder Woman, obviously. But there's just some aspects of the character I just really, really do love. And I think everyone needs to be checking out this Wonder Girl because I think Yara's going to have a big future in DC. Then for my other pick for this week, it's probably going to be the final time you'll see this in a while. But it's The Many Deaths of Layla Starr from Ram V and Philippe Andrade. It's issue 5. It's the series finale of this. I don't know if this is like all he has planned or if this is just like the end of season 1, so to speak, and then he'll do some more later on in the year. But it's been a fantastic run. I've been really enjoying it. I said right when issue 1 came out, I thought this was going to be something special, and it absolutely has been. So if you haven't been checking it out, why aren't you listening to me? If you have been checking it out, make sure you pick up issue 5 this week. So again, we've got The Many Deaths of Layla Starr, issue 5. We've got Dark Ages, issue 1. We've got Infinite Frontier, issue 5. We've got The Avengers, issue 48. And I've already forgotten the other one I mentioned, Wonder Girl, issue 3. There we go. So, Rob, so I usually like to add in a classic pull at the end of these lists now. It is a recent thing, but we like our guests to share with the audience like comics they think they should be reading. So, Rob, what is your recommendations for us?
Well, I can think of a classic one in my head that I can definitely recommend, and surprise, surprise, it is a Batman one, but it is by far, it's in my top 10. It's in, really? My God, what a concept. It's definitely in my top 10, and because I reread it again the other day because I needed a reminder as well about creativity, and it's Paul Dini's A Dark Knight, a Batman story. If you haven't read it, it's a beautiful, heartbreaking, raw comic book, graphic novel, and it's the story of Paul Dini being mugged. Basically, he got beaten up during the making. It was around the time of him writing Mask of the Phantasm, and at that time he was losing his way both mentally and physically, and didn't know whether or not he was able to keep on writing this character, who ultimately wasn't there to save him in real life. So he questioned humanity and he questioned life in itself. And even through all of the pain and suffering he was going through at the time, he was still able to find a way to keep on writing. And he turns it into this beautiful graphic novel. And I've only ever cried a couple of times reading a graphic novel, and this is one of the rare times that I cried at the end of the book, just thinking, wow, this is just, this is why I love this world of Batman, but this is why I love being a creative, because it is about that freedom of expression. And I cannot highly recommend that book enough. Like a classic book, in my opinion, even though it came out like 2016, 2015, something like that. It's a beautiful, beautiful read. But I also did bring some books that I thought you might be intrigued that I'm currently reading at the minute, which obviously one of them is Batman 89.
Yes. Excellent.
Of course.
Excellent.
And the reason why I wanted to bring this one up, not just because it's Batman, of course, but it's also a continuation of the 89 film from Batman Returns, obviously, as well. But yeah, they've got the likeness of the actors in there. So Michael Keaton, Billy D. Williams as well, which is fantastic. I love the artwork in this as well. And Sam Hamm is back, the screenwriter of the original 89 film. And the reason why I also bring this one up as well is because I've had a few messages from people saying to me, Rob, when you've read this book, tell me what you see. If you see what I see. Now, I don't know if you guys have read it yet, so I'm going to avoid any spoilers. But as you guys have known, I made a Batman film called Living in Crime Alley. And there's a specific scene involving a robbery. And the desperate actions a Gothamite will do in order to feed their child and to bring up their child. And basically, there is something very similar in the context of this book. Like, panel for panel, not exactly the same, but there is the same imagery, the same type of moment in there. And I had many people, and there's people on YouTube and, making commentaries since, even saying, holy shit, it's like this Batman fan film. This came first. Did they copy that? No, I'm not saying they did. I would love to think that is what they've done. Don't get me wrong. I think it's just an amazing coincidence. But when I was reading it, I could not believe my eyes when I saw that page, and I went, holy shit, we're on the same fucking page as, people at DC right now, which is so fucking cool. And I actually ended up tweeting Sam Hamm afterwards and saying, look, I'm a huge fan, blah, blah, blah. Made a film, this, that, and the other. He didn't respond back, but he liked the tweet. So I like to think that's something, like to say, he saw it and was able to go, oh, this freaking nerd likes my work. Great. But yeah, I highly recommend this issue 1 right now. It also I also bought the additional film poster artwork.
Nice.
And, oh my God, it is gorgeous. I mean, I said this the other day, I've never fallen in love with a comic book cover, but this is definitely the first.
That's poster worthy right there.
It's stunning. Yeah. I want this to be poster, mate. I want to get that as a poster and put that up. And then the only other things I wanted to recommend was Wonder Woman, the Black and Gold, the short stories they've been doing at the moment, which I think are absolutely stunning. There's actually one story in this one, in particular, issue 1, book 1, where it's an interrogation sequence where Wonder Woman could easily use the lasso of truth, but she decides not to. She actually decides to interrogate this person like you would as a police officer would, or a detective would in a hold-up cell. And I just think that's genius. She could very easily, use the lasso of truth, the lie detector test or whatever. But no, she actually wants to teach this guy a lesson, actually ground and pound him, word for word. And that for me speaks a lot of strength in the character, not just, her physical strength, but her mental strength and ability and her strength as a whole. And I just think that's a really wonderful short story within these books. They've released issue 2 now, which I'm going to pick up shortly, but issue 1 I thought was fantastic. And then the one that I'm currently reading, and it's almost finished, I believe the next book comes out next month, is Rorschach. I know a lot of people have mixed feelings about this, but I'll be honest with you, I think it's really good. I think the artwork is sophisticated and cinematic. I think the first half of it, it's a bit wonky in places. I don't think Frank Miller needs to be in it, but
he
there you
fucking
go.
did. Sorry, I'm going to start because I'll go on all day about that.
Okay. So, I assuming you were saying he did or didn't?
He didn't need to be fucking there.
Yeah, no, exactly. I agree. I don't think he needed to be there either. But the later half, which is I'd say from issue 8 onwards, I've been really enjoying it. I've been left feeling uncertain, but also very excited about the prospect of what could happen next, and that's what you want from a thriller like this, or dare I say, a comic book movie, which happens to be a thriller. So yeah, but that's what I'm currently reading at the moment, and please, if there's one thing I have said throughout this is please go and read Paul Dini's A Dark Knight, a Batman story. It is a raw, honest, beautiful, modern masterpiece.
I have not read that one myself, Rob, so yes, I'm going to be checking that one out.
Yeah, I think it's a very, very strong suggestion. Very strong.
And in regards to your, the Batman 89 having something similar to your film, I also find it incredibly ironic and kind of like poetry that it's also in a comic that's based off your favorite Batman.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So there's something in that as well. So that's awesome, man. I'm really happy that that people are recognizing that I did it first.
You should have seen Vincent's reaction. He was like, "Motherfuckers!" I was like,
hey, he can't talk. He was in Wonder Woman 84. Do you know what I mean? Like, do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Thanks, Rob, for all the wonderful, wonderful pulls, and Tom, you as well. Thank you for all those wonderful pulls. Get your comics, people. The graphic novels, you can find them in your local comic book stores or your local Forbidden Planet, wherever. Just buy your books. All right, so thank you, Rob, for coming on the show once again. It's always a pleasure having you on and geeking out and nerding out.
Absolute pleasure talking to you guys once again. As I've said many a time, it's great to just nerd out and just talk about all things comics, movies, and TV shows. And just be free to be whoever you want to be. And that's all we want in this world, isn't it? It's just to have the freedom of expression and to be who we want to be. So, as always, guys, it's been an absolute pleasure chatting with you about capes, cowls, and masks.
Nice.
Hey, that's the name of the show.
Yeah. Hey, funny that. And don't worry, Rob, we'll have you on again very soon, I'm sure.
And again.
As there's always more Batman to be discussed. But so Rob, where can our listeners find you and what you're getting up to?
So you guys can check me out on Twitter at Rob Ayling Film, on my Instagram at Rob Ayling. As I have said, I have made a Batman fan film called Living in Crime Alley. It's done all right in the festival circuit. It's done all right. And we're actually playing in Rose City Comic Con next week in Portland, Oregon, which is pretty awesome. And we're waiting to hear back from potentially more conventions coming up, which is also really exciting. And in the meantime, I'm currently working on my feature film debut, as well as my second feature as well, which will be returning to the comic book genre. Dare I speak of it? Or the vigilante genre as well. And I'm actually going to be releasing, Jake, I know you've seen this film already, but I'm going to be releasing my lockdown documentary short film, Hands, which will be released either sometime later tonight or sometime tomorrow, but it is a very personal story of mine, or should I say someone else's personal story. But the best way that I can sum it up, actually, fun enough, is if Living in Crime Alley is my love for cinema, adventures, and this comic book movie genre, Hands is very much my soul. I think is probably the best way of summing up. So it's a very personal film, and I can't wait to finally reveal the troubled 2020 that I did have of one way, of looking at it. But I think it was an important piece of expression. I said that earlier with, Paul Dini's book. I think as a creative, it's always important that we have the freedom to express how we truly feel. And Hands, for me, is that piece of work that I was able to do. And I did it all in 90 seconds. And it was filmed during the first 10 weeks of the first national lockdown in the UK. And I look forward to you guys to seeing the film and seeing what it is I was trying to say with it. And in the meantime, check me out on Twitter and Instagram, and I'll speak to you guys there even further.
And I can vouch, people, the film is wonderful, as I have seen it many times.
Thank you. Thank you.
Tom, what about yourself? Where can the people find you?
Well, you can find me on Twitter with my new Twitter handle at Comic Book Shogun. I figured it would make more sense to have that as my handle and then just Tom Gapper as my name on there than base of weird other way around. So yeah, at Comic Book Shogun should be easy enough to find. I'm being a bit more active on there now, probably too active, but I did have a nice conversation with Matthew Rosenberg the other day. So I mean that's not nothing. So if you want to see fun interactions, between me and comic book writers on occasion, follow me on Twitter, because goddammit, I will get them to notice me. I will become friends with them, and then when I finish writing my comic, I can be like, "Get me some work on this. Give me Green Lantern, please." Mark my words. 10 years' time, I will be a Green Lantern writer, and I'll break all your fucking hearts.
Wow, that was aggressive. Jesus.
He practically yelled it.
I'm passionate about this stuff, man.
I'm getting more of a Red Lantern vibe over here.
The Red Lanterns have a cat. They win.
Yeah, I mean, if you like cats, sure.
I do, Jake. Do you not like cats?
I like cats fine, thank you. But, dogs
But
are
not
better.
enough, I get it.
Anyway, dogs are better. You can also find me on the socials. I'm on Twitter at SweatyJake, also retweeting and sharing and tweeting lots of stupid stuff. And you can also find me on Letterboxd at Jake Hart, where you catch all my films, reviews, and ratings. And also, Tom, you're also on Letterboxd now, so I'm excited.
Oh, yeah, I am, yeah. So you can find me at Gapboy on
Letterboxd
as well.
Rob, we need to get you back on Letterboxd. I know you've got an account, but you need to...
Yeah.
I
followed you, man.
I do need to get
I
back
followed you, and you haven't followed me back. Niles followed me back.
Fuck Twitter and Facebook. Letterboxd is the place to be for movie guys, people. Yeah. It's so much fun. Anyway, and as for the show, you can also find us on Anchor, Spotify, Apple, Google. Subscribe and follow us on there. And if you're on Apple, please leave us a rating and a review, as it all helps us go up in the rankings. And the best thing you can do is recommend us to all your geeky friends and keep expanding the family of Capes, Cowls, and Masks. So thank you all for listening. We'll see you all next week with our review of Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings. Stay safe, everybody. Goodbye.
Dave will finally get it.